just like that, they buy it. They eat it up. You pander to them, you thank them. I mean, really, people, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I mean, it's just so easy to say the name of the city. You cheer.
Hey, Stephanie,
you cheer. I mean, just come on.
Welcome to the A Show.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the A Show, episode 113, with the Kings of Pro Wrestling Podcast. I am Justin, and I'm here with Meelz. Meelz, we're a week away, bud. A week away from Christmas, buddy.
It is holiday season, as a very popular DJ would once say. A very popular, wash DJ? I don't know what to say.
The shade already.
Very popular DJ once said. But yes, holiday season. I'm here for it. Ready to continue. I mean, you know what? This has been such a wild run up to holiday season for me. I think I've done legitimately. I thought December was going to be light for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've done so much fucking. I mean, I shouldn't cuss on this podcast. I've done so many legitimately podcasts over the last 2 weeks. I'm just like, bruh, I thought this was going to be easy. I thought this was going to be, at work when I don't do anything, because it's December and it's like, what are we doing? It's the end of the year. Well, get back to me on January 2nd. Then I'll have all your stuff for me. But no, it's legitimately we're still pushing RNC radio, everything. Gosh darn, man.
Over everything. And I mean, I hate to brag or just, I'm just so excited for everything that's coming up in 2020. But RNC is gonna look and feel very different across every show. I think it will. I think we got some pretty cool plans in the pipeline coming. So definitely thank you guys for listening. I don't want to get too mushy here because it's not like the end of year January 1st type show yet, but I'm kind of freaked out about RNC Secret Santa.
So RNC Secret Santa. So I got my gift probably a week ago, so it should have been delivered by now. I can't speak for the rest of you, delinquents, whether or not gifts have come, whether or not gifts have arrived. I'm supposed to be receiving tracking numbers. I haven't got them yet. You guys are really pushing it to the limit. Yeah. And I just hope everyone is able to enjoy Christmas, as I hope that my Secret Santa E or Santa, what do you call the person that you're the Secret Santa, but what do you call the person that you're giving the gift to?
The giftee.
Okay, sure. I just hope my giftee enjoys the gift that I've selected for them. But that, I mean, how are your things going for your Secret Santa?
I mean, pretty good. Really, really tough.
I typically don't like Secret Santa, by the way. So just, heads up, of course that we love the people in our group, but I'm not a fan of Secret Santa. Otherwise, I don't trust people in getting me or knowing me or having the best interest for me in mind. So
that's the fun part.
No, it's not. It is the part where I judge heavily. I just do. I judge heavily. Listen, you didn't even take a chance to get to know me. Didn't even ask I had one Secret Santa thing. They did it for us when we were in kindergarten. I don't know why, but kindergarten. So I'm assuming all the parents helped. Did you know what I got?
What?
Well, here's what I got for the person. I'll tell you what I got for the person. I got them a light bright. Not only does that show my age, but it also shows that I'm a great gift person. So I got them a light bright. This was 90 something. I don't know, in the middle of the 90s.
I think you're a great gift person. You got me a great gift.
You know what I got?
What?
A VHS tape of some movie, and it wasn't even rewound. I kid you not. God. And I remember getting it and then showing my mom, and my mom was also equally as mad because we legitimately bought a light bright.
Light bright they were not a joke.
No, they weren't at all.
They were not.
They had a thing in, I think in the 80s they had a thing, and then they kind of had like a revival in the 90s a little bit. And listen, they were a hot commodity. Like from there on, I've never trusted people in my best interest when it comes to how we say.
I think White Elephant. I think White Elephant's better.
What's White Elephant?
It's where you it sounds really bad saying it, but like it's where you buy a gift and then a bunch of people buy a gift and then you like swap it.
The evil Santa thing. Evil Santa swap thing. Yeah. No. That's a good one, but here's the thing about that one. Now you don't even have to care about what gift you buy. You just legitimately throw anything in there. It is a battle royale of the gifts that just like, this is just supposed to be a general gift. You go on Amazon, you hit gifts, you pick up the third thing on that list and you just throw it right in there.
Yeah. I mean, you have a limit and you just do it. Why not?
You just throw it in there and you just, someone's going to get a friggin' knife set. Someone is going to get some charger, the charger thing for Secret Santa now is a thing. So someone's going to get one of those. Someone is going to get something really good, like a remote controlled car or some stuff like that. Something really wild. And, someone's going to get crap, but a beach ball or something.
You can't help it. You really can't help it. It's a really, I mean, it's more stressful in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying?
Getting gifts in general is stressful. I can't tell you over the last 2 weeks how my heart has sank into my, I don't want to go that far down. Maybe I'll say stomach. I'll say my heart has sank into my stomach trying to, get all these things in order. I still haven't got everyone's present, so,
Yeah, me either. This weekend, I usually am not the final last minute guy, but my nieces gave me their lists literally days ago. So we'll have to see how it works. And they live in Virginia, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Very light week on the Prograps this week, as you guys can tell from our banter. Not a lot of news as the year winds down. I think a lot of the shows and companies are wrapping it up. There will be no new NXT new to us. I believe they did tape matches, but there will be no, super new NXT on Christmas or AEW as well. And there will be a taped Raw next Monday, and I would be inclined to believe there's going to be a live SmackDown because I'm pretty sure they would probably get back on the road, right?
I don't know if it's this week that they're in Brooklyn. I think it might be this Friday that they're in
this
Brooklyn.
Friday, yeah, because they're in MSG next week.
I was gonna go, but considering how SmackDown has been over the last number of weeks, I might want to just watch it at home.
They might pull out a good show. They might pull out a big show.
Nah, they don't pull out. I mean, Brooklyn is kind of like, if it was like SmackDown at MSG, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'd tune in. But even the SmackDown at MSG earlier this year, not that great.
The Staples show was pretty fun, but that was because obviously there are reasons why that was fun.
Yeah, that was fire. But yes, it won't be there, so I'm not sure. The MSG house show looks fun. I mean, that looks better than SmackDown by like a lot.
Yeah.
Triple threat cage match between Asuka, Charlotte, and then Becky Lynch. That looks fire.
That I would love for them to televise that, but I could see. Well, I mean, obviously, and we'll get to why that match is what it is right now because it was supposed to be something else until Sunday. But I mean, I feel as though we got possibly even better show or even better match out of it because now it's for Becky's title. The TLC aired on Sunday. General thoughts about TLC, Meelz. How about how you felt about the show?
It started off really, really well. Mm-hmm. Somewhere in the middle, it kind of dipped for me. Actually, it dipped quite a bit for me. And then the ending kind of saved it. But overall, I want to say if I had to average that entire kind of slopey thing out, I would say it was a solid show. Solid show. Not a bad way to end the year.
Yeah,
it's not a great way to end the year either.
I saw someone say it was like the most disappointing pay-per-view of the year, and I was like, nah, it's impossible for it to be that. There were just too many bangers on there. At least 3.
To be honest, I can't tell you the most disappointing pay-per-view of the year, and I know we got to do this list and things like that, but I can't tell you the most disappointing pay-per-view of the year. Not that all have been good. Like maybe Smackville, I don't know.
No, I mean that wasn't a pay-per-view though. I think your choice was actually, I didn't even think of it. and I thought it was a great choice, the choice that you had. Well, I'm not going to reveal it, but I saw it. I think I was like, when I saw it, I was like, yeah, he's right.
Okay, turn up.
Yeah.
TLC otherwise, I mean, just, if I had to pick, I mean, I think both of us were looking forward to this Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy match.
Right.
And do you feel like it delivered?
100%. I think it was probably one of my favorite matches of the month. It in fact made me go back today because I rewatched it today and change a couple things regarding Aleister Black. And we'll get to that a little later. But I think that they both had something to prove. I think they 100% did. I mean, I know you've said it before. I know I've been saying it. Like they've. I think we kind of landed on two separate spectrums of it, but I agreed with you where it's like, okay, you need to poop or get off the pot with Aleister. Meanwhile, I'm more inclined to believe that they want to make him a spectacle, and both things are fine and both things are good. But now I'm leaning towards what you think, Meelz, and I'm like, okay, give this guy a program now. I think he's proven everything he's needed to prove, and that is that he can deliver in the ring, and he proved it in NXT as well. I just want the squashes to stop at this point. Like I want him to get to a real match, and I think that they definitely proved both. I mean, even in loss, Murphy proved that he deserves to be at least in the U.S. title contention scene. But it's like, again, you have this issue with Brock not being on the show that leads to a lot of these types of programs having no stakes.
Right. So, I thought it was a fantastic match, a lot of great sequences between them, and I thought both of them put in a lot of hard work for this match. In terms of Aleister Black, I do feel like at some point, I think as they're inching towards WrestleMania, something will pop up. But, as we're heading towards, he's practically been on the roster for a year, and it's been kind of like just middling around, trying to figure out what are we going to actually do with him. Sometimes he's injured, sometimes he's not injured, sometimes he's just sitting on the shelf in a room, sometimes he's not. Buddy Murphy, I can say, has been making the best of whatever television time that he's had, and he's been owning it. So I say, you know what? I wouldn't call this I don't know if I'd call this the match of the night. It's pretty damn close, though.
It was close. I think it's probably. I wouldn't be mad if anyone said it was, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad either.
Had a really solid. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was going to say I've thoroughly also enjoyed the ladder match between New Day and Revival. I'm glad that at the last second they added that stipulation because otherwise I would not have wanted to see this match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that I'm just tired of this pairing, and I think
but there's not much else,
Exactly, and it's like were the Usos? The Usos are drafted to Raw 100%, right? They were drafted to Raw.
I don't think they were drafted anywhere.
They weren't? I could have sworn they were.
Because the Usos and Naomi weren't drafted to any show, so they've just been sitting around. I'm super interested in the story behind this because, the last time we kind of heard of them, they had the DUI thing. And I think they still wrestled for a bit after that, and then they were just taken off television. I'm wondering if that's due to that reasoning. I know Naomi's like, hey, I've been also injured and just also banged up. I think she's been on, for the last number of years, she's been going at it consistently on house shows, even if she hasn't been on a major program, that she's just been out.
She mentioned that she mentioned it was because of her mental health at that time.
It could potentially be that as well. So I think, WWE is doing this thing where they're getting a lot of talent's time off to be able to prepare themselves, to rehabilitate themselves. And I have to applaud them for that because even up to 5 years ago, they definitely wouldn't have done that. But I'm interested in the return. I'm interested in the story. I think we'll get the return sometime within the next couple months if I had to predict. But honestly, I have no idea what's going on with them. I miss the Usos.
Remember, I just read up on it. They were drafted to Raw in the shakeup. That's why I remember it, because it was their first time being on Raw in forever. And then they were drafted, and then the wild card happened right after that, so they were on SmackDown anyway. Right,
but they weren't drafted in the post.
Yeah, you're right.
SmackDown Friday draft thing. So yeah. But it is what it is. The tag team division is going to have to figure itself out for a couple months, and they got Biggie and Kofi Kingston to kind of just okay, let's figure out what we're going to do here if we're going to do anything at all.
Yeah, 100%. It's just again, the Revival needs a direction. The New Day does as well, I think. But I mean, who could beat them at this point? I think they're just kind of unless you put teams together, which people hate. but it seems to be there in the mix with the Roman thing now. So I guess that puts the tag titles on ice again, which is even more frustrating. Like, yeah, I know. It's just a lot. SmackDown's a mess. SmackDown is a
huge
mess.
mess. That's why I'm not going to the show on Friday, but it is what it is.
The other two things that happened, we're kind of circling around the main event, but the Bray Wyatt, Miz, Daniel Bryan thing was another thing that was really highly talked about. Again, I think we do have differing opinions on this based on what you said.
Sure do.
I do think that I like the regular Bray Wyatt thing, and I think it was crazy that we waited so long to see the regular Bray Wyatt wrestle. But then again, the bell rang, and it was the same Bray Wyatt as usual. And I know when you saw that, you were like, all right, I'm done with this.
I was pretty much done with it because it's like, for instance, I know why they did this. And I think Bray Wyatt, at least the Fiend, in terms of continuing with this kind of momentum and continuing with these squash matches on big pay-per-views against big guys, essentially. And, I don't want to say squash matches, but the fact that he doesn't sell anything and trying to craft a match around that. I think, I think honestly, this match could have probably happened on SmackDown, and it would have been the same thing. However,
it probably would have popped the rating.
Yeah, I think so as well. But I think just in general, this whole no selling thing, I'm still not a fan of it, especially in 2019. I just think the time that we're in is so far removed from these type of gimmicks where just like no selling, it kind of works. And I think, the little ironic gimmicks like an Orange Cassidy or something, I think that works, but I don't even think that works like full, that doesn't work over long term. And I don't think Bray Wyatt works long term at this current stage where he switches back between this person or that person. I don't think he works long term.
What's crazy is that like he's selling a lot more, but then like toward the end he just stops. Didn't Miz like break his shoulder or something like that during the match?
Yeah.
Then he no-sold it.
He popped it back in.
He popped it back in and no-sold it, and then gives him a Sister Abigail with the same arm, I think. And well, no, he wasn't the same arm. It was the opposite arm. But
I liked how he explained it kind of on SmackDown. If you like listen to his actual promo where he says he's essentially trained himself not to feel pain, and you can do that as well. Yeah. But just in terms of just like the meta sense of it, like it doesn't
work. Yeah, that doesn't work.
In my opinion. Yeah, it just doesn't work because wrestling is just an art. There's pain, there's, suffering, there's all this other stuff that goes back and forth. Like, to me, this works now. But where do we see this in a year? We don't see the same thing, hopefully still going, because the crowd is going to shit all over it, especially by the time it hits WrestleMania. So where do we go from here I'm interested in that.
Yeah, they got me messed up if they think I'm about to be watching matches like this. However,
right. I thought the lights was the solution, and then the lights were different, and it was still the same thing. So
I was kind of annoyed. I know you'll probably love this. I was kind of annoyed beating the Miz here. Didn't really like that. Thought they could have.
Yeah, I agree.
I thought they could have done without beating him here in a really heatless 6-minute match. That didn't really mean much. It was like a storyline. I didn't rate this match at all. I gave it a question mark because I was just literally like, this is all storyline.
Yeah, this is a stopgap in between the actual Bray Wyatt and Daniel Bryan feud. Like this entire little program, while it has worked and while I guess the Miz and his family has done all they can, it's essentially a little stopgap. I'm still kind of trying to wonder what the Miz still has to do with all this Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt thing, but I generally think it's maybe because of the relationship that the Miz and Daniel Bryan have with one another, that they're just trying to play off of that in the interim.
You can go back to the well with that, like you can with Seth and Roman Triple H and Seth Triple H. You can. That's one storyline and character thing that I do love the continuity of. But of course,
I agree.
We got the return of Daniel Bryan looking like 11 years younger. Of course, we knew that this was going to happen. He was going to shave his head, of course. I think he looks great. I think he looks really good.
He looks great. He looks exactly how he did in 2010. That vegan diet is working wonders for him.
Yeah, he said, black don't crack, huh? Watch this. Green don't bend.
Yeah. Good for him, man. He looks great.
Yeah, so I guess we're going to get this at Royal Rumble. I guess I think it should be a triple threat, honestly.
I think the Miz is going. I don't know. The Miz is going. I don't think they want the Miz in the match really, or in a program really. But I think he orbits around this program still. And I don't know if he costs Daniel Bryan something. I don't know if Daniel Bryan and the Miz become a team, which would become an interesting wrinkle considering their entire arc over the last decade. I just think they're going to do something with the Miz and Daniel Bryan as well. I don't know. Just them orbiting one another to me is just a little bit, I'm not sure of it.
I think a triple threat would be obviously to have Bryan not lose, like outright,
But he's not afraid of losing. The man has lost all year, actually.
I know, but again, like and I think you can also agree with me here. Like a lot of people around this time of the year, or really during the whole year, say Bryan does nothing and his run doesn't mean anything, and they speculate that Bryan isn't happy. But then they always heat him up for Mania season, and he gets a big match.
I think he's going to get a big match nonetheless. I think, however, though, I don't know. To me, Daniel Bryan isn't afraid of losing. I think we've seen that all year. Ali, Kofi, Adam Cole. He's not afraid of losing. He will do it if it's good enough for the storyline and if someone else needs to go over. I think he just loves to wrestle again. And he loves this kind of stuff. He just wants to work out, everything with this kind of match.
Main event, the TLC match between the Kabuki Warriors and Charlotte and Becky. I really like the match. I think that the women matches, the reason I enjoy them on the same show, especially the main event ones, not so much like a lot of the TV stuff, is that they are produced way differently than the men matches are. So you really do get a variety on WWE programming between the men and the women on each different brand. And this didn't disappoint. This felt like a real fight. They were beating each other. They were beating the hell out of each other. And of course, with that comes, a fair bit of not, I wouldn't say tragedy, but consequences to that. To which Kairi Sane, of course, it's being speculated. It hasn't been officially announced by WWE, but it's been speculated and alleged that she suffered a concussion during the match, which led to all three women, and that is, depending on who you ask, that led to all of the women in the match kind of protecting around her, but more specifically Becky and Asuka, who actually have reported and on video evidence of really just protecting Kairi. Like she's pretty much out of the match for the final 5 minutes, and Asuka basically wins it on her own, which to me kind of made the storyline with her and Becky even stronger.
Yeah, to me, it's this entire match, and I think what's the weird thing? I legitimately feel like every calendar year we have the same conversation about who's dangerous and who's important or who's hurting who in the ring, and it's usually have a lot to do with women. I think Nia Jax a couple of years ago got a lot of flack for punching Becky in the face. I think last year or so we talked about Brie Bella kicking Liv Morgan and kind of concussing her, and we have this whole conversation, this whole sort of uprising of like, oh my god, why did Charlotte even bother doing this? Like, I think generally Charlotte, who is so in tune with her character at this stage of her career and in tune with the matches and in tune with the intensity of it all, generally wasn't paying attention. And while that, that's definitely on fault for her, but I think eventually she does realize it. It was a little bit until she decides to bomb her at the table anyway. But there are definitely moments. I just want to say, particularly in terms of all the backlash that Charlotte's getting for it and everyone kind of getting for it, I think the women are a lot tougher than you think.
Yeah.
And we need to stop, trying to police or try to be morally right or trying to downturn WWE for these type of things, because a lot of them, Kairi Sane still, despite being put through a table and slapped in the face all after the concussion, in fact, still tried to get up and to compete within the final moments of this match. I mean, she was a part of, tying up that ladder and just helping pull it down.
And it happened really early.
Spots like that.
And it happened really early. It was a 25-minute match.
Yeah, it was a super long match, and you kind of felt how long the match was, especially by minute 20. You're just like, well, they're still doing this. However, I think just in general, the women are tougher than you think. I don't see usually women online complaining on social media. Not to say that they don't complain, because I'm sure they're like that, but I'm pretty sure they're like, listen, these things like this happen. you even said it. I think you said it on Twitter, or we talked about it earlier. Like they came from like neck bump, the neck bump promotion.
Yeah,
like
100%.
Stardom itself. Like it's not that I'm excusing everything that happened, but I'm just saying you need to give them a little bit more credit, because most of these things happen to the men and there isn't even enough conversation about it. But when it happens to women, everyone kind of like jumps on the bandwagon that they're unsafe or they're not good or all these other things. Like,
and let's like bring out the elephant in the room. A week ago, everyone was white knighting for Charlotte, and now she's public enemy number one again. It's exactly the point that I made last week, in that if she was in the position that you guys had her in the past 3 years, you would be whining about it again. And they went right back to it a week later. Like, I hate that it had to be this, but like, don't even do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't do it. Like, yes, she made a lot of really questionable judgment calls in that match. Like the spear to the slap was wild.
Yeah. I think that was all on adrenaline though, because she was gassed up for this match. Like, she was just as ready. Her favorite opponent to face is Asuka. It's just, she's been on record about it. She talks about it plenty. This is a TLC match. This is the main event. This is the women's tag team match. This is something that hasn't really been done. She is jazzed up. She's adrenaline. When she came around that corner, I'm sure she had no idea what was going on.
The power bomb was wild.
First of all, that powerbomb was crazy. She was like, "You're getting up, and you're going to like it." Like, all the core strength in her, because Kyrie was like, "I'm not going that far."
Yeah, Kyrie was like, "Please do not do this."
And Charlotte was like, "Yes, you are."
yeah. It was very, very weird. But I think, again, spectacular match. I think when you give the women the main events, they perform at a really high level. To a point
I agree.
That's just been a theme this year. When you give them the main event, they're gonna perform. Even if it was like remember the mixed tag match with Seth and Becky, I thought that was really good too.
Yeah, I thought so as well.
But that leads us right into Raw, where Becky does lay down the gauntlet for Asuka in a really good promo, saying that she needs to beat Asuka. That's she's the one person she hasn't been able to beat all year. I think we both predicted this would be the case for these two. A year in the making. I literally remember being at the edge of my seat at Bill Hanstock's house this past January for the Royal Rumble, thinking that, you know what, Asuka might not win this, and then she did, and it ended up having one of the best matches for my money, in my top 10 matches of the year. We're gonna get it again. I'm pretty sure we're gonna get it again. At least it hasn't been officially confirmed, but we're gonna get it again this January.
Yeah,
Asuka too.
It's it's been a year in the making. I appreciate Becky pretty much staying close to this and just being like, listen, there is one debt that has not been collected. There is one person I have not beaten. And she dropped a insanely good promo on Monday, sort of capturing the feeling all around us and capturing probably very real feelings, and also just very, just creating the intensity for this match. And, part of me thinks like, listen, if Asuka maybe, she's so good at emoting that I'm wondering how she does her rebuttal to this. I'm kind of intrigued because, and I think she'll do it in her own Asuka way, which is like, I'm trolling you, but also I will kill you, type of thing. But to me, this match, I'm ready. I've been ready. I'm ready to see it.
Yeah, I think it's going to be spectacular. I can't wait for the build to this. I also love that, and all of the women, even past Ronda Rousey, and I think that we both can say that, as Asuka fans as we are, that they're treating Asuka, the Asuka win and the Asuka feud with Becky, as something on par, if not bigger, than the Ronda feud, because she hasn't beaten her yet. And I think that, again, this puts Asuka right back in the driver's seat. I am so very glad. And again, win or lose, I'm very glad that Asuka's back in this position as an unbeatable, just terrorizer of the division. And I think that they've really rehabbed her after a whole year of just confusion and really, anger and confusion as to what happened last March. We wanted her to be back on top again, and here she is again, getting that opportunity. So another thing that happened on Raw, the main story thread, if you will, I just wanted to segue from the main event to the Becky program that we saw. Seth Rollins takes aim at Rey Mysterio after a 50-minute gauntlet match. They had no finish.
No finish. Well, I don't even think Ray was in it. Was Ray in the match?
No, he wasn't. He didn't end up getting there.
He just showed up. He just showed up because Humberto got his stuff, ruined.
One thing I can say.
Go ahead.
I did love. I love the Raw thread of stories between all of the main eventers and the mid carders. They all feel as though they are working towards something, as you said before, Meelz, and also feels as though they're working with each other in tandem in the ring as well to tell a story. I really like this match. R-Truth comes out, gives a promo, goes against Akira Tozawa, who, again, one of these utility guys that SmackDown is missing, where you can have a guy that takes losses, but also beat guys that he should be beating, right?
Yeah.
So he beats R-Truth, which again goes into Ricochet, and they have a tremendous match, in my opinion. And then we get Ricochet versus Humberto, who they are. Remember that people we were like, are they off him? They seems like they're back on the Humberto train.
Oh, they haven't got off the Humberto train. To me, it's kind of weird. I feel bad for Cedric Alexander. I was like, man, this could have been you. However, Ricochet versus Humberto. He's doing very, very well in the position that he's in. I think the connection to the crowd isn't there yet, but in terms of just like them building him up and understanding, I think the people are beginning to understand, like, yo, we can get behind this guy, and I think that's kind of what they want more so than even the language barrier. Not fully getting crossed. They want people to be like, yo, this is a guy that you can kind of get behind. And they're showing it. And especially with the way how the match ended, sympathy for sure. Yeah. Lots of sympathy.
Andrade, who suffered yet another defeat to Humberto on the pre-show, to TLC, comes out and destroys him. And that leads Ray to chase off Andrade. The match does not continue. Because Andrade was apparently supposed to be the last person that he faced, and he said, you know what, forget it. But that leaves Seth Rollins out, because at the beginning of the show, which is, again, very, very nice writing here, he said that, whoever I'm aiming at, just in advance, I'm sorry. And he comes out, and they beat up Rey Mysterio, and Seth challenges Rey Mysterio to a U.S. title match, which we will see on the Christmas Eve, or is that Christmas Eve?
It's pretty close.
It's the 23rd. Christmas Eve episode of Raw next Monday, which should be tremendous. They've never faced each other before, and I thought that it was Cap, and apparently it is not Cap. They have never faced each other before, so that should be really, really dope. One thing you did mention about the language barrier with Humberto, I think whoever's writing the show, whether it be Paul Heyman and Koski or whoever's doing the show, they are letting them cut promos in their native language, and they're not trying to hide it. And I think that is, to me, in a lot of ways, really progressive, because they know that there are a lot of Latino speakers who watch this show, and I think that it's really cool to have that kind of portrayed, especially with Asuka and Kairi. They always cut promos in their native language, and I'm so glad that they're not trying to make them talk in English until they absolutely have to. I'm glad for it.
Yeah, I agree.
They're still over. They're still over. even doing that, like I still think it works. So, another thing on Raw, Viking Raiders suffer another L to the OC. How do you feel about that?
Meh, could do without it.
I don't know why we have to drag this out. Just bring the Usos out on either show. Usos Vikings is something that I would pay money to see.
Yeah, the OC, I'm glad they're getting wins, because they have to at some point be a credible team. However,
not like
do it
this.
For me.
Yeah, like this.
They don't. They're not dynamic enough to kind of hang with the Viking Raiders, especially just in the ring. I would love for them to prove me wrong, but I also doubt it that they're going to do that.
No.
So we'll see how that happens. Go ahead. We have to talk about the most exciting part of Monday Night Raw.
Yeah, for a lot of people, Liv Morgan resurfaces, and she is not in the Firefly Funhouse.
Maybe a little bit. We haven't seen it yet.
Who started that? Who started that rumor?
A lot of people. Because she's insane. Not insane, but she's a little kooky. She's a little off kilter. She's very Harley Quinn-esque. And I guess the Fiend would be the Joker, but she's very like Harley Quinn-esque, which I get. And I think she plays up that like little bit of bratty insanity that a Harley Quinn can kind of come into. But it's interesting to see what is going to come from Liv Morgan this time, because honestly, there's no other women on Raw.
Oh yeah, they definitely need her. I do believe Asuka's officially Raw, so I would think that Liv would have to be Charlotte.
She would be enhancement talent. She would be, because that's kind of been the theme. No. She wouldn't be enhancement talent, but she would begin to beat enhancement talent, is what I'm saying.
Yeah. She'd be chilling for a while. I would imagine she'd have to be going after. A lot of people have been thinking that they don't think that Becky's going to be able to beat Asuka again. That'd be wild, though.
That would be wild as hell.
I think Becky is 100% beating Asuka, but I think that if she doesn't, I think Liv would be a cool little stopgap until whatever happens at Rumble happens, or happens at Mania happens.
Here's the thing. I don't think Liv is ready for that type of
smoke.
No, she isn't ready for that stage as of yet. She's solid, but she's not great. She hasn't been tested, in my opinion. She's been all through NXT, but I still even think that in NXT, like, we gave her a lot of praise for kind of the bare minimum because she's Liv and we all love Liv. But I don't think she's been tested in that sort of fashion. She hasn't really been through the gauntlet, had these singles matches, had these, matches that's shown that she's grown and improved. She's been in the Riot Squad the entire time under Ruby Riott. This is her time to break out. This is her time to shine, and I hope she delivers. That's all I can say.
Yeah, I did like the little pre-tape there. It was pretty cool. I can't wait to see what's next. So shout out to Liv. Shout out to her
Twitter
fans.
Stop talking about it. Yeah,
I was waiting. I wasn't going to say it, but thank you for saying it. But now let's get to the main event. Everything that we have been hyping up, the first half of our year-end special here. We're going to run through 10 categories, and we're going to explain a little bit. We're going to explain a little bit of why we chose what we chose, Meelz. So, are you ready for a year-end list?
Let's do it.
Cool. I'm going to start off. I'm going to go backwards from the list that I gave you. No, should I go for it? Okay. No, I'm going to go for it because I think it's going to get funnier as it goes on. Let's just get the perfunctory ones out the way. Obviously, we're going to do more next week. We're going to have our match of the year next week and a lot more different categories. But this week, we're starting off with 10 other ones. First off being Wrestler of the Year. And as we did last year, we're going to have our winner and our runner-ups, and we're going to talk all about it. Meelz, who was your Wrestler of the Year?
Well, my Wrestler of the Year, listen, I'm not going to say I tried to find an alternative because that's just my brain. I try to find the alternative. I try to say, maybe, this one was, wait for it, Undisputed. Adam Cole is my Wrestler of the Year. He, to me, just kind of, he's undeniable. And I think by the time we hit November, it was more than Drew. With his performances, with his back-to-back performances, with everything that he's kind of done, to me, there's been no competition as someone who has been so consistent throughout the entire of 2019. Adam Cole has elevated himself in a whole new level, and I think he is the Wrestler of the Year.
I have to agree. Adam Cole is also my Wrestler of the Year. There were a lot of wrestlers that were up on my list. I had Shingo from New Japan. I also had Kota Ibushi in the number one slot for a while.
Kota was really good. Yeah, Kota was
G1 winner this year. But I think just in terms of this, Adam Cole is a guy that in 2017, I was like, you know what? He was always cool to me, but I didn't know if he could go to the next step. And what the next step is promos. It's gaining an audience. It is matches, of course, but it's all of the intangibles. And I think that what really, hit home for me in a personal way, in a way that I don't think that, any other wrestlers could have hit. And, it's no fault of their own. It was just where I was being at that 10-2 NXT on the 2nd of October and seeing Cole Riddle and seeing this guy really, like, he had the crowd in the palm of his hands, whether it was win or lose. This guy is supposed to be the biggest heel in NXT, and they treat him like it, but they also show him his respect when it's due. I agree with you here as well. In November, he was the Iron Man of the wrestling industry. Let's just be clear. This guy had a broken wrist, I believe, and was basically wrestling every single week, multiple times a week, in ladder matches, in War Games matches, in singles matches. It didn't matter. This guy definitely was the Iron Man of the industry. I think Adam Cole is definitely the wrestler of the year. I think you have to give it to him. His matches with Gargano, Riddle, literally everybody, even Daniel Bryan on TV at hours notice. This guy shows the professionalism and the skill to do what he has to do and be at the top of his game. He is my wrestler of the year as well. You're a runner-up. Did you have one?
I don't think I had one, to be honest with you. There's kind of no
competition. Not even Kofi?
Nah, I didn't have Kofi. Here's the thing. I mean, I don't have much runner-ups, to be honest with you, but my winner is there. Kofi Kingston had a great year, and I would say if I had to insert a runner-up right there, I'd probably say Kofi Kingston, because Kofi Kingston, to me, the elevation, the story through his year, how he's able to rise to kind of the level that he was at, and kind of have the entire wave of support behind him. This was the first thing that in a long time where I think WWE listened. I mean, it's been since the last Daniel Bryan thing, but WWE kind of listened and followed the wave and sort of continued to feed the wave. And seeing everything that he's done this year, I mean, he doesn't have the sort of amount of matches, as amount of great matches as Adam Cole. I'll say that he does have the most undeniable moment of the year. However, but I would say if I had to do a runner-up, I would say Kofi Kingston. What about you?
That's fair. I had a tie, and this was a last-minute tie. My runner-ups are Kota Ibushi and Aleister Black. Kota Ibushi, I think that it's pretty much self-explanatory. This guy ran New Japan this year. He won the G1. He could potentially win both the heavyweight title and the Intercontinental title on January 4th. At Wrestle Kingdom. So, I mean, definitely that would cap off a tremendous year for him. But Aleister Black, a little bit more interesting to me. I think his run since the beginning of the year, and I think a lot of people forget about the NXT stuff, but I think he was in undisputedly my favorite tag match of the year with Ricochet and the Viking Raiders, then known as the War Raiders. And then when he came to the main roster, he continued to have really good, solid matches, and he was a spectacle. Like I said earlier in the show, the Cesaro match was another match that was again stole the show. The Buddy Murphy match just stole the show again. I think that they have carefully crafted Aleister Black into a spectacle that they wish the Fiend could be, in my opinion. I think that the Fiend can't have normal matches. Of course, you don't want to book him to have matches like that, but I think that every time Aleister's out there is a buzz about it, and he looks cool, and he is cool. And I think they've managed to keep that aura up in a way that the Fiend, to me, just isn't cool anymore, So Aleister Black, my runner-up as well, with Kota Ibushi, really great company there. And again, shout out to NXT for really crafting out and cranking out these excellent wrestlers. And this is the second year NXT wrestler has won our Wrestler of the Year.
Right.
Tag Team of the Year. Meelz, what say you?
I have the black sheep pick of it all. I had the Kabuki Warriors. There's no question that I am a mark for Asuka. There's no, and Kairi Sane, also along for the ride, has not disappointed as well. Mm-hmm. These two have kind of turned it around for me. These two have, they've lasted through the entire year, especially when I didn't think that they would last, nor did I think they would be put together, but they have put together pretty much a solid run, especially considering these new established women's tag team titles. I don't think any women's tag team has been able to sort of kind of get a grasp and kind of figure this thing out, but the Kabuki Warriors kind of have, and they've been, fearsome. I could see them holding these belts forever, pretty much because they don't know what else to do with them.
Yeah, there's no one else. There's no one else.
Yeah, so I can see them holding this belt for 700 days. But the Kabuki Warriors are pretty much it for me. They are the bee's knees. They're everything.
I went with the Undisputed Era, along with winning the tag titles again, and being the first. What was it? 2-time? 3-time? I think it was 3-time.
Yeah, I think it's 3-time. It's definitely 3 times by now.
the first 3-time tag team champions in NXT, breaking records, of course, and having excellent matches against the War Raiders, against Ricochet and Aleister Black. And against DIY, I believe they had another one on TV with DIY. And another match, it's Survivor Series, where they were able to show that they could hang on the main roster as well. I think that the team of Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly, absolutely one of my favorite tag teams, because they've just done it for years. They've done it in the Undisputed Era. They've done it as Red Dragon. They continue to be one of my favorite tag teams, even, whatever promotion that they're on. So Undisputed Era, of course, my favorites. Meelz, I think we broke even on the runner-ups as well here.
Yeah, practically. I had my runner-ups was Ricochet and Aleister Black. They were only, put it together for a short time, but man, these two brought it. They were, actually, I would say probably an underrated match from this year, one that is looked over. They were also part, I believe, of that NXT Halftime Heat one.
Yes.
That was a really good. That was kind of like the future of NXT. I think it was, to me, that one is a very underrated match when it comes to this year. A lot of people forget about it, but to me, it's one of the best matches of the year, and it's arguably one of the most significant NXT matches of the year. Basically, because this was saying, like, listen, these are the next generation. These are the 6 that we have, and they're going to tear down the house. And we trust them to put this on halftime of the Super Bowl. So there we are. But I think Ricochet and Aleister Black, they just, for two guys who were just kind of put together, they kind of knew what to do when it came to the things in the ring.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm talking like Walt Clyde Frazier.
No. You are wrestling's Walt Clyde Frazier, but minus the weak suits, minus the weird suits.
Wow, okay.
Female wrestler of the year, hotly contested. I think I'm going to be real controversial here. I'll go first here. I picked Io Shirai. I think that her reinvention notwithstanding, she was able to she had to shift a lot this year in terms of being the only one on the brand after Kyrie left and had to find her own way. I really love that the bookers at NXT, whether it be Triple H, HBK, whoever, they noticed that she needed a course correction, and quickly. Her face, run was just not working, and they turned her. And I think from there, it's the little things, the unhingedness about her character, the music even, and just the performances. I believe that her match against Candice LeRae on any brand is one of my favorite women's matches, I would say, of all time. I love the Candice LeRae Io Shirai match. I believe it was from the 10. It was one of the NXTs. I believe it was the first one they went head to head with. No, it was a takeover. I'm sorry. It was in Toronto. I'm sorry. I'm bugging.
Yeah.
I thought that it was one of my favorite matches of all time. It was really, really awesome. I think Io has all of the makings and all of the keys to be just as great as Asuka is. And I think that when they pull the trigger on her finally to have the championship, that she's gonna go far.
Yeah. You know what? That is a very solid pick. In terms of my winner, I couldn't, there was a lot, and I think Becky Lynch gets a lot of flack, but I do think that she's undeniably the female wrestler of the year. And I say this from the standpoint of there is no other female in WWE history that was the man. She is legitimately the star. She is the guy. She is the person who carries the show. She is the attraction. She is not one half of the attraction. She does not share the spotlight with Roman Reigns, or there's no undisputed sort of conversation where you could be like, well, the only reason why she's hot is because she's with Seth or something like that. She is the attraction. Becky Lynch has done what she started from last year, or what she started last year, rather. She is taking it this year, and she's firmly cemented herself as just pretty much unmatched in her division. While you could definitely critique the in-ring work, I just think you can't deny Becky Lynch. I mean, Becky Lynch is the star, and Becky Lynch, she just is. Like, she's one of a kind. She's currently one of one. Yeah. She's the franchise. Yeah, 100%.
She's the franchise, bro. And I think that, without a doubt, she absolutely has carried the brand longest. Like, she won the main event at WrestleMania. Like, not even CM Punk did that.
Yeah. Wow.
Let's just keep it 100.
Yeah,
let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100. So yeah, no anger, no disagreement there with Becky Lynch being the top. I think we again split on the runner-ups as well. Rhea Ripley was both of our choices for runner-up for female wrestler of the year. There was no inclination that she would have been here in my runner-up at the beginning of the year. But
not even in like June.
Yeah, but I think this last, I just think that a lot of it was just so. A lot of the competition was just not. It just didn't reach the heights that I thought it would. And I'll just be honest. Like I thought Sasha could have got here, and Sasha kind of petered out really, really quickly as far as like the hype of her return.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't care less about Charlotte, not Charlotte, but Sasha Banks.
It's the SmackDown thing, man. The SmackDown, she's kind of I wouldn't say it's bottlenecked at the top, but when you got Bayley there and you're supposed to be Bayley's best friend and the championship, like there's not really much for her to kind of do. I personally thought, listen, that we'd be talking about a little bit more about the other women in NXT. I mean, there's Candice LeRae, there's Bianca Belair, there's Mia Yim, there's all these other people, but I don't think any of them have come to splash in the impact that Rhea Ripley has over the last 6 months. She has basically been killing it in all types of ways. She's got the look, she's got the in-ring, she can speak, she does it all. She's young, and we fully expect, at least I do, tonight on NXT for her to take the NXT Women's Champion from Shayna Baszler.
I hope
and
so.
This could have been Shayna too. I mean, this could have been Shayna too. But I think just the momentum with Rhea Ripley, I think it's time. It's more than time.
Yeah, she could very well be at the top of this list next year, and that's what I went on when I made that decision for runner up. So I definitely think that she could. Once again, NXT though, like they are owning these categories this year more so than usual. Feud of the year. I think that there isn't anything. I don't care what it is. I don't care what match. I don't give a shit what promotion. The feud of the year is Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan.
Yeah, easily.
Nothing gets more emotional. Nothing means as much. Nothing is more, endemic to the culture, really, if you want to talk about culture, than this match was. It was about damn time. 11 years in the making.
The story of this being basically Daniel Bryan becoming the thing that he hated, and I wouldn't say a corporate shill, but becoming just, the opposite of the underdog, someone who was holding various people down, and Kofi Kingston's story coming so organically, and WWE continuing to feed this wave, and we're getting, just sort of back and forth, culminating to that major moment at WrestleMania. It checked all marks. It did everything well, and they sold it. They sold it. We bought it. We loved it. That's all I can say with Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan. I mean, that is something I think not only that Kofi Kingston should be proud of, but Daniel Bryan as well, as one of his, greatest works in the WWE and maybe in wrestling in general, because we haven't really seen Daniel Bryan in this position to be able to kind of give the rub to someone like Kofi Kingston or anybody of the rather. It kind of proves where Daniel Bryan's status is, and it also, elevated Kofi Kingston up there as well. So, yeah, it checks all marks.
Yeah, I mean, he's done it with Roman. He's done it with a lot of different people as far as putting them over. He just did it with Adam Cole, and I think that did a lot for Adam Cole. Like, facing Daniel Bryan, you're going places. They say like Randy Orton was a measuring stick, or back in the day it was X-Pac or somebody that this person could hang. It's Daniel Bryan, 100%. And you got to give it up to Daniel Bryan. I think there isn't enough given to him on this feud in terms of framing it so that it wasn't, let's just be real, framing it so it wasn't explicitly racial. It was more so status and class. And I think everyone was so, remember how like sensitive people were at that time back in like February, March, and then they did they did the gauntlet, then they did the tag team gauntlet match, which was just a tremendous turn where they had the Usos when they were about to face the New Day, and then they just left the ring, like I watched that the other day. I'm not going to lie to you. I had tears again. I had chills watching that.
So much emotion was brought into this entire thing, and you got to give it to the writers. And once again, you got to give it to Daniel Bryan as well. This is someone who I do believe has a say in what goes on. Mm-hmm. it would have been easy to say, like, let's look at the booking decision and let's figure out what works best for us. And maybe Daniel Bryan wins and they continue the story, et cetera, et cetera. They said, no, this is the time. This is the moment. Let us do it at this moment. They did everything right with this feud. And I think when we look back at it, we see that they did everything right instead of, talking about all the racial stuff that did not happen. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I love the storyline. I think that this is something that, you want to talk about the Booker T thing. This is what we should talk about now, right? Like, this is what we should.
I think this is what Booker T wants us to talk about, to be honest with you.
100%. Like, this is, we can close a chapter on that book, okay? Because they did it right this time. And let's just be glad that we got this moment and we had this happen. And we'll be talking a little bit more about Kofi Kingston a little bit later on in our year end. Runner-up for me was Undisputed Era versus NXT. I think that as far as like storylines in NXT, the women's storylines are always stronger to me in a lot of different ways. But I think that the storyline this year of the Undisputed Era winning all the belts, it's unheard of. Like they just don't do it anymore in modern wrestling. They don't do it. Like 2004, you could have seen it. Even in the Attitude Era, they've had it happen before. I think the smartest booking decision, because it hasn't happened this much, was giving the era all the belts and then having NXT work from under to try and win them back. I think that it solidified the era as one of the best stables, like the DX NWO type stable that everyone wanted them to be, and they had great matches while doing it. I think Undisputed Era versus NXT, I do see it winding down. I think it is actually going to be winding down pretty soon. But I think as far as carrying the year into like such a huge fall for them, it was absolutely the right story to tell. And I think that it worked for me. What about you, Meelz?
Yeah. No, you know what? I agree with that. I would say, honestly, my runner-up had to be the three women leading into WrestleMania. Mm-hmm. It got it got very convoluted at some points, especially when Becky Lynch was injured and just kept showing up every damn week. But I'll say they knocked it out the park instead of creating that intensity, creating the moment. It was supposed to be just Charlotte versus, Ronda Rousey. They took a moment that Becky Lynch was having and ended up being, actually, this is more than a moment at this point. This is an entire run. This is just kind of everything for Becky Lynch. But they took that, they combined all three parties. They did the right thing by turning Ronda heel because at this point, no one wanted to cheer anymore. Charlotte was also heel in her moment. They kind of left Becky Lynch to seize the throne, and she did so. I think all three women, I think possibly the most spectacular moment of this entire thing was that go home segment where all three women are just going insane. They're breaking cars, they're getting arrested, they're handcuffed, they're still going to war, in all of this. So yeah, I would say that is my feud of the year. I want to give it to those three women for doing the damn thing at that point.
Can't be mad at it. Shout out to all three of them. I think that, again, say what you want, that WrestleMania 35 is very much one of the biggest. I think, to me, within the decade, though, it's going to be the Mania that I remember. Can I say that I can remember it the most, even with 30 existing? Because 30 was such a moment, but I think that 35 was really like the one that's going to matter to me, the one that I'm going to show people, like, at the end of the day, like, this is where they did every single thing right? Like, they did everything right on this show.
Yeah.
Where everyone that won, that should have won, they won. Because, on WrestleMania, they always give you that weird one, like, why is AJ losing to Jericho in his, like, first, his first feud? Or, why is, Sasha not winning the belt this first time around? Like, they did every single thing right. And I think that, that's, to me, more memorable to me than any other WrestleMania this decade. I love WrestleMania 35. What's the next one we're gonna go through? Most cringeworthy moment of the year.
So my cringeworthy moment of the year, it is this very thing. It's a very small segment, but it's still, to me, one that
did not last long. Did not last. I don't think it lasted after this, but Corey Graves debuted a segment on Monday Night Raw. It was called the Electric Chair segment, and Sami Zayn was the guest, and it went off the rails so far. They had these little kids asking Sami Zayn questions. Sami Zayn is pretty much insulting them. Then he starts mentioning AEW, and I guess he gets the little pop that he wanted from that, and it's,
to me, the entire segment goes completely off the rails, and they had this little electric chair that you're supposed to sit in and like spin around and all these other things. To me, I was just like, all right, well, this did not obviously work out the way that it's supposed to work out. And I don't think they wanted anyone to do this again.
Yeah.
They legitimately threw the electric chair out the ring and we never saw it again. I think Corey Graves tries to use it on his podcast now. So that might be the legacy of it.
Pretty solid podcast too by Corey. I like listening to it. It's a nice, like, just chilling podcast.
Yeah.
My cringeworthy moment of the year is that at Fight for the Fallen, AEW's Fight for the Fallen, Cody bringing out a bunch of money that they raised for a charitable cause, and then proceeding to cut a promo on the WWE for 5 minutes while presenting said money. Just, to me, pretty tasteless. Also, kind of proving and setting everything on the table of what AEW would eventually become, or what they have become throughout the year, as far as just trying to, needle the company as much as possible. I think that it was just a really tasteless moment, and it was really cringeworthy because I think everyone was there around it. Like, the Bucks were there, Kenny was all sitting around. They were all standing around looking like complete idiots as Kofi was trying to say WWE couldn't counter program them because they wanted to put on an Evolve show because they actually put money into that promotion. I mean, it was the same night. It was gonna happen anyway. So just really a cringeworthy moment, and a long list of cringeworthy moments for that company this year. Meelz, your runner-up is hilarious considering our next our category.
So my runner-up for cringeworthy moment of the year is Mauro Ranallo, pretty much his sicko mode line on commentary, which he's like a light, like a light, and I'm just like, bruh, please stop, just stop. And I know he's gotten a lot of flack and people don't want him to be bullied, but you got to understand. There's no context.
Yeah.
There was no place. He could have just said, like, listen, he just got knocked out. We don't have to do like a light, like a light. There's no context for that. I'm sure I feel sorry for Beth and what's my man's name? Nigel sometimes, because they just kind of have to roll with it and act like it didn't happen. But, it just is what it is. That is my cringeworthy moment. That is a moment that legitimately made me cringe.
This one came in a little bit at the last minute at the buzzer. My runner-up was Roman Reigns getting dog food poured on him. A lot of people thought this. Yeah, a lot of people thought this was like really like taking it too far. I just thought it was like weirdly sensual. It was like silent. Oh, like remember like the scene was just really silent. Like all you heard was people yelling out.
My favorite part of the TLC pay-per-view is where Michael Cole's like, and he's got the dog food. And he's just like, he brings out a can of dog food. And then I think someone gets hit in the head with the dog food. But he's just like, and he's got the dog food. And I'm like, this is where we're at. Where dog food has become a legitimate pro wrestling weapon. The dog food, I just can't. I don't like it. I was just like, but cheap heat, whatever. It's Baron. It's on brand for like a Baron Corbin-esque type of heel,
and on brand for how bad SmackDown has been also. So
yes,
everyone shook hands on that one. Shake hands emoji on that one.
100%.
Next up, we're almost done here. Most memorable moment. I think we broke even on this one, and we talked at length about this, but I chose Kofi Kingston wins the WWE title.
I mean, you can't have a different moment, to be honest with you.
No, there is no moment.
There is no moment. I can't even. Did I even do a runner-up? I didn't. But your runner-up is hilarious, though, considering all the implications it had for you specifically. Yeah,
my most memorable moment runner-up. I'm going to give this a tie. I would say Katsuyori Shibata.
It happened in the same week, so yeah.
It happened within 24 hours of each other. Katsuyori Shibata returning to New Japan Pro Wrestling, and Sasha Banks returning to the WWE. It just both moments just really showed how, the bravery of both performers coming back to the sport that they. Wait a minute. Wait. Shibata's not coming. Oh. Oh, okay. Next category. We're gonna go to most improved. I had Lance Archer from New Japan Pro Wrestling. I thought Lance Archer's run in the G1 solidified this for me. I didn't have and couldn't have anyone else in this slot this year. Lance Archer is one of my favorite big men, and I think he's going to have a tremendous match against Jon Moxley at Wrestle Kingdom in a Texas death match. So Lance Archer is definitely somebody that I think that you should be looking out for in 2020.
And I have Rhea Ripley. She's just a star. She's on her way to the top. Let's push her. I think she has the look. She's always had the look. She's just done great for herself this year. So I have Rhea Ripley in this position.
And I have Rhea Ripley for my runner-up for the exact same reasons.
I had Humberto Carrillo, who literally came out of nowhere. Legitimately came out of nowhere. He was like, most improved. I was like, listen, he's doing quite well for himself. You know what? He's not bad. He's not bad at all. So my runner-up is Humberto. He's
fun, and somehow you notice like he already works a WWE style. He already kind of works that style. His finisher is just a moonsault. Like, that is so WWE.
It might be the new music too. They switched his music for like the third time, and now it kind of slaps again. So that could also be factored into this.
The new music is hard. People talking about they miss Dale Gas.
Dale Gas, man. Come on.
I don't miss Dale Gas at all.
Oh my God.
Let's wrap this up. Last two. Least improved.
Who'd you
say, Meelz?
Dana Brooke. Just a vacuum of improvement. Like, the improvement couldn't recognize her on the street.
Does she want Batista to clap cheeks?
Obviously.
Or is this I
would have to at this point.
Is this kayfabe or is this shoot?
I don't even know anymore. But I hope it's not a sick joke by Batista, because that would be weird. But Dana Brooke just terrible. I don't know. She's like on this like 40-year run of just like least. I could not imagine. Listen, when Dana Brooke came, she had kind of solid trajectory, like solid.
Well, as a sidekick?
No, she just she was working. They had her in promos. They had her doing little cartwheels, whatever. And then Asuka came, and then that was it.
Well, Asuka knocked her the F out. And
Asuka knocked whatever improvement out of her. And it has been missing ever since. And I look forward to it. I know people want to like give her this like kind of ironic improvement kind of award. It was like, oh, she does swanton bombs off the top rope. That's cool, but not really. Dana Brooke, you're not improving. Figure it out. I don't know.
Let me go the other way here, and I really feel like I should put Lawler on here, but I'm gonna leave it. Mauro Ranallo, I had him for my least improved. Listen, one of the best announcers, commentary guys in boxing. I can't get with him anymore on wrestling commentary. I feel as though as the lead man,
remember when Tom Phillips replaced him for that 1 week,
and it was glorious, and Beth Phoenix was the best that she had ever been. Because I have always said that Beth was not really that good in commentary, and I was wondering why, and then you see why as soon as he left, right?
Right? Yeah, you're right.
Remember when Mauro left? He couldn't make it to that one pay-per-view or that one takeover, and it was just Percy and Nigel, and Percy was the best he had ever been.
Yeah, I agree.
I think that Mauro doesn't make anyone better, and that's why he's not improved at all as a lead man. This is his show. This is his show.
Yeah. If you're going to pick him as least improved, then I'm going to go on the flip side. I'm going to say my runner-up for least improved has to be JR, Jim Ross, who is just, the man said Orientals on TV, and I'm cringing for him. Like, he is just...
Keep it 100 on Sunday, and this almost got him replaced on this list. On Sunday, he said Kabuki Warrior #1 and Kabuki Warrior #2.
Oh, that was Jerry Lawler. They're in a different type of...
Oh, you mean Jim Ross? I'm sorry, Jim. Oh, I'm sorry. The same white dude. Sorry.
Yeah, so they're in the same boat. To be honest with you, they can tie.
They're terrible. JR, he's terrible. I think Excalibur needs to be the lead announcer there. And I think that all in all, the announcers they need a fresh start with these announcers. I actually don't think Raw needs 3 announcers at all, to be honest with you. My runner-up for least improved, Elias. It's always Elias.
He just is. Yeah, he's just always there.
It's always going to be Elias.
Yeah, he just, I don't know.
Stop trying to make him work.
The ring. Yeah, his thing isn't there.
Hottest news story of the year. I think we both said the same thing. It was AEW. There was no there was no hotter thing to talk about this year than AEW. It's the first real competition WWE has had in over a decade. This wasn't an Impact level threat. This wasn't a ROH level threat. This was a real, there's real money put behind AEW, and you can see it from the promos. You see it from their TV show. You see it from the way that they present themselves. AEW is a company that, even a year into its infancy, is something that is really kind of nipping at the heels of the WWE. And we've been waiting to see, how they respond, if they're going to respond at all. And we've been seeing what AEW has done to kind of set itself apart. Say what you will about the actual weekly show or what they've done or what they've said. They have the consciousness of the lapsed, or not even the lapsed fan. They have the consciousness of the fan that feels as though they've been overlooked for over a decade. And in some cases, even since WCW. So AEW and their announcement and just the formation of it and everything has garnered huge impressions, huge clicks, and huge conversation. I shudder to say that I've been in way too many AEW conversations this year. And I think that, again, this is spun off this show into the War Report. That's just how big it is. So AEW, hottest news story of the year.
I think I'm going to insert, something fell. I'm going to insert my runner-up right now, and I'm going to say Sasha Banks leaves WWE, question mark.
Sasha Banks
because I could not, there's so much speculation around it. There was so much mystery. There was so much intrigue. There was so much, when is she coming back? Is she ever coming back? She's liking AEW tweets. She's liking this. We legitimately did an entire Sasha Banks watch. It lasted much longer than the other watches that we've done. So I think there's never been so much intrigue behind someone kind of wanting to leave the WWE at this point. I think everyone who is thus far, kind of put in their notice, they've really gotten it approved, or they've kind of worked out some deal. But the Sasha Banks thing, I think WWE definitely did not want to leave that on the table, nor leave that out, or nor get out of a 5-year contract that she kind of just signed. But, it presented, there's so much speculation, there's so much different things. I'm glad we got a lot of different answers about it, especially on her 24 or whatever it is.
The Chronicle.
Chronicle. So yeah, I would say Sasha Banks leaves WWE, question mark.
Love it. My runner-up was CM Punk returning to the WWE. I may end up regretting making that a runner-up of the hottest news story, but I think that we had so much speculation of him coming back, and there was so much surrounding it within the summertime that when it finally happened, it actually was a moment, and I think that it popped all of us. Results your results may vary, or your mileage may vary on whether he's actually good or not on backstage. He's not. I think that him just being within that ecosystem again is huge, and I think that it definitely brings eyes to backstage, and it brings eyes to what he's going to do next. Do you think people actually care if he gets in the ring again, or are they just waiting for him to say he's going to get back in the ring again?
No, they definitely care. They want him seen back in the ring. He's terrible in this position. He should be back in the ring, but not really. I don't know. I feel like he might not care anymore. To be honest with you, he's so apathetic regarding his positioning around WWE. I don't think he hasn't gotten at least to the point where it seems like there's a passion for talking about this again. This seems like a job. This seems like a nuisance. This doesn't even seem like something that once his contract is over, he'll want to do again. It kind of legitimately seems like something he does in his spare time, and he jokingly talks about it. But I would rather him, if I think we both have a good sense of character when it comes to these things. And it just doesn't seem like generally his heart is into doing this job. And I don't think his heart is into returning back to the ring.
Yeah,
I think it will happen with a giant bag, but not because he wants to.
When you got to announce that you're watching Finn Balor and AJ Styles from TLC from a couple years ago and say, "Is it any good?" I just think you're just tugging on the snark tree a little too much. I think Punk has really just the human version of Reddit or Square Circle Reddit. But then I think about it, Meelz, and I'm like, he was always this way. I just think it's more annoying now because we've grown up and we've got a more balanced look at the way the industry is. And the fans that he created, let's just be honest, the fans that he created are AEW fans, essentially.
Yeah.
Or not. I won't say all AEW fans. I'm so sorry. They're not. I won't say they're all like this, but I'm saying the more annoying ones are the ones that were galvanized by Punk burying Roman on that show, or burying the WWE doctor, which he should have done, or just burying WWE in general. Like, because you see they've tried to rerun it with Jon Moxley, and it's not working. You know, like it's literally like it's not working at all. And you know, like I think that, you know, Punk being the guy who hates everything on this show, that's not what this show is about. You know, I think Backstage is a show where it's like it's kind of like he's trying to make it like Undisputed or whatever that show is called on FS1 with Skip Bayless or whatever. And it's just not that type of show. There's too much control over it, and I think that's why he's not good in the role. Do we think he's going to be in the ring next year? Do we think he's going to just say F it?
No, I don't think so. I don't know. It's just I can't say. I can't say. He doesn't seem like he's going to be into it at all.
All right. Well, that is our first half, our first 10 categories of our year-end special. We have 10 more categories next week on our Christmas episode that will be airing next Wednesday. Yes, next Wednesday on Christmas. So when you're unwrapping your gifts, you'll have another gift to unwrap. And I want to next week. I want to send Christmas shout outs, Meelz. So that's what I'm going to do next week as well.
Sounds good, man.
All right. So until next week, of course, you can follow us at RNC Radio Live and at Meelz TV and at OG Johnny 5. So hit us up with some of your things that you're thankful for and that you want to shout out for Christmas. And if you really do it, then, you know, I'll say it on the show, of course. So until next week, do we want people to send in their own like year-end things?
You could, yeah. Why not? I mean, you could like hit us on the tweets.
Tell us your wrestler of the year. We're gonna put it on the tweet. Tell us your wrestler of the year, and then we'll talk about it on the show. So until next week, for Meelz, I am Justin. We'll see you guys next week on the A Show.
Happy Rusev Day.